All right, should we start? Longest 3 minutes in my entire life. Okay. Yeah, so today or for this week for Meet Micah, um, the topic is kind of like leaving the MICA bubble, which is something that I think a lot of colleges deal with, but MICA, we're in kind of like a smaller neighborhood, and I think it's really easy to kind of get like stuck in the kind of like MICA bubble. And so this is just kind of just us going over some of the places we like to go while off campus and the things that there are to do around MICA.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people coming in from different places, different states, different countries, they also have like a perception about Baltimore, and just going around it's like not the easiest. But hopefully like you can like after this presentation you're positive that you have places that are outside of MICA that you can feel comfortable at.
Yeah,
Oh.
leaving the MICA bubble. So I was really excited to talk about this one. I love going out dancing, and it's really difficult, I think, in a lot of places to figure out places to go while under 21. And so these are some of my favorite places I've been. Brands Head Live is really fun. They kind of have like themed nights, and they also have like actual like bands that come and play. Auto Bar, of course, like has a lot of really fun stuff you can go to under 21 as well. Like, I think this picture is from like they had a Y2K night, and the picture for Rams Head Live was like they do like an ABBA dance like theme stuff, and then on the right is Merriweather Post Pavilion, and that's kind of like for bigger shows and like concerts. But there's kind of lots of little places to go if you want to go out dancing.
Yeah, I also there's places like also Baltimore Soundstage for concerts. I also really like Metro Baltimore. They also have like sometimes smaller bands. I know Bar Italia is coming in pretty soon, which I'm so excited to go to. And Baltimore Boom Bap Society. That's super important, I feel like, because it's like a lot of people undermine the local music scene of Baltimore. And it's like the hip hop scene, the jazz scene is amazing here. And especially Baltimore Boom Bap Society. One of our professors, Eric, he works like he's like one of the founders of that place. And one of our classes that's live remixing, which is basically a class about DJing. Sometimes they also get to perform at the Baltimore Boom Bap Society, which is really crazy.
There's also like if you're into like EDM stuff, there's like cool like warehouse kind of stuff. If you can figure out how to find it, there's a lot of fun options surrounding that. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I said we just covered dancing, and that's it so far, but we'll have a bunch of like topics if you want to join in on talking about any
Yeah,
of them.
you did such a good job on this freaking slideshow. It looks so good.
Thank you. Not all the most pictures though. Don't expect too much. All right. Should we go to the next one? Where to study. I think yeah, where do you guys go to study usually?
The bun shop sometimes for like readings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The Bun Shop is this really um cute place that's you can take the MICA shuttle to, so you don't have a car. You can go there and it's open super late at night, which is nice. And then we also kind of have like the kind of regular like library, dorm, like campus dining hall kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. There's also a cafe, what's the name? Um Doobies. Doobies is also really good. It's a cute place. Um yeah.
Babies on Fire is great as well. That's down around that area.
Mm.
There's a nice little cafe near the apartment building I live at called Pilion Tea. It's also close to HHT. If you go like just even a little bit into like Belvedere and Mount Vernon, there's a lot of like nice little cafes that you can study at. And most of them are like nice little small businesses that you can support. And I enjoy doing that.
There's also On the Hill, which is like I feel like kind of at the center of MICA campus. That is also a good place to go to.
Yeah, you can also get like a 15% discount if you show them your ID, so that helps.
Yeah. I think this is kind of similar. Do you guys have favorite food spots you guys like to go to near Micah?
I really like going to the Charles Village because they have Kajiken and they also have this Indian restaurant, Sakoon. So that's like where I usually go to because those are like my two top options.
It's
There's
a bit. Oh,
sorry.
sorry, son. I usually hop on the light rail and get. I go to Ekiben a lot in Hamden. That's like the best. That's like my big treat.
I really like going to this Vietnamese restaurant called Indochine. That's near Belvedere. Good pho. And what else? There's this really good Korean barbecue place. It's way out in Ellicott City. So you can only get there if you like have a car or transport some other way. But I think it's worth, especially if you like, go with your friends. It's like a little outing. But it's called Chosun Hwaro. But it's like Korean barbecue and it is so good.
Yeah, I usually don't go out because I don't have a car and don't have money to go out and get food all the time. But I always kind of I like boba. I like Kung Fu tea is one of my favorite places to go for that. All right. Um, Going outside. There are places to go outside. You should go outside when you're at Micah. This picture is from Lake Roland Park, which is really beautiful because you kind of have the reservoir. Then if you kind of walk down, you can kind of walk along the lake, and then this picture you can kind of the light rail goes over it, and like the light rail stops like right. It's super easy to get off. And it's really beautiful, especially like when it's warmer and there are leaves on the trees. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the MICA Outdoors Club also had a little trip to Lake Roland, which was nice. And we also like went to the movement gym, which is also a really nice spot for like if you're into bouldering. And that's
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to add for outdoors? No, we're done with outdoors.
What is it? The Baltimore or like the Maryland Zoo is pretty close to campus. And they have discounted admission for like the winter months. Not that people would probably want to go outside much during the winter, but if you are looking for something to do, it's like 15 or 20 a person rather than their usual 50.
There's
So that's pretty
pickleball
nice.
like right there too. Druid Hill Park is amazing.
All right. Should we go to the next slide? Um, I don't know. I thought I should put this one in as well as kind of another thing. Yeah, do you guys have, I feel like it's just kind of like different like areas and neighborhoods that are good to go. And like for just different, if you're looking for something different or something specific, there's like certain places that are best to go. Um, I mean, like, yeah, Dhanviee and I, we went to this, they had this like flea market. I think it's like every once a month that's kind of in this kind of old church. That's really cool. It's like this church brewery, and there's this kind of a lot of like sellers will come. There's a lot of fun stuff for that. And then really close to Mike is this neighborhood called Hamden, and they have a lot of kind of cute shops as well for just kind of like trinkets and trinket based things. Um, yeah, do you have anything to add?
Did we talk about thrift stores?
We talked about the where we went last week.
Oh, flea market?
The flea market, yeah, but do you have anything to add about thrift stores?
Yeah, there's a really good one called The Zone. And I know the lady who runs it has been like running it for like quite some time, and she like goes all around getting like curated pieces, and they always like keep on rotating with whatever they have. So that's really cool, and that's right across Doobies. And the Biddle is also a really nice place because they're mostly like donation based. And the Biddle also has dance parties sometimes. So it's like a thrift store and also venue.
Wait, where is the Biddle? Because that sounds like fun, and I want to go now.
Is on the Biddle Street. You would have never
That would
guessed.
make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I thought this was an important. I know Senyu kind of came to Micah with a car, but not having a car, I think figuring out how to get to these places and like, um, I don't know, I thought maybe it was good to talk about like our experience like more public transport and that kind of thing, and like how we get to these places.
Yeah, I rely a lot on the Purple Bus, the Charm City Circulator, that's free. And the stop is like right at Penn Station, which is like from like most of the buildings, it's like a 10-minute walk.
Yeah, there's a light rail which is a stop really close, like on like both ends of campus. And that one is just it's one line, so there's only like it's kind of limited in where you can go. But like I said, you can take it up to like that like Lake Roland Park, which is super nice. You can take it to the airport and kind of more downtown. And then I think the last big mode of transportation that's available for MICA students is like the MICA shuttle, which is super easy to kind of call. You have an app, you can call one. But that one is kind of limited in there's only like a certain area that the MICA shuttle will come and pick you up. But there's like stuff within that area, like the bun shop, which we talked about earlier.
And I think the best part about it is that it's not like just MICA campus, which I mean, you mentioned it, but like to clarify, it's not like just MICA buildings that'll take you around to. It takes you to like a pretty good bit outside of MICA campus as well. But it's just like it's not going to take you like way out far to like Ellicott City or anything. You'd probably need to get an Uber for that. But I had friends last year, they like split the cost of an Uber to go to H Mart in Ellicott City before learning that Micah had H Mart shuttles for free that have gone on. But like you can always do things like that. There's a lot of like public transportation that is available to you as long as you know how to navigate it. And there's a good amount of times where I kind of wish I didn't bring my car to Micah just because there is so many options available and having a car is expensive. So it's just like weigh your options and weigh what works best for you.
Yeah. And then I think we have like the thank you slide, and I'm not sure if we have other slides added. Um, are there more? Or is that it? It's okay if that's it. All right. Um, okay, so I think now I think maybe questions. Like I think if the chat has any questions we can help answer. That'll be good. Then we also have a guest as well. Let me see if I can pull up the chat. Sen, are you seeing the questions? Or like any questions?
I don't see any questions. I missed a bit of the beginning of the meeting. Did we introduce our guests properly?
No, I think maybe now would
Or
be a great time to do that. I don't know if we
yeah.
can
Yeah, we brought up the auto bar earlier. I know that.
Oh, I think in
But
the chat someone wants to hear about grocery markets and cafes. Um, I know Eddie's is reopening. That's super exciting.
Oh, is it really?
It is. They found a new owner
That is
or a
exciting.
new person to take it over. So
what
this
is
is like
Eddie?
news as of like yesterday.
It's near it's kind of like downtown, right? Near
Sort of close to Doobies on the
yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah.
Mhm.
And like as a gluten-free person, uh, it's so good for like people with dietary restrictions or people who want like organic food. It's like a really cute grocery store downtown, not super downtown. It's sort of like in the you know, Washington Monument area.
Yeah.
Um, but great food, like it's amazing. I used to go there a lot before they closed down, and I'm gonna be back as soon as they reopen the doors. Also, OK Natural is really good for people with dietary restrictions. Um,
I
Yeah.
live right next to OK Natural, and they have like a bodega cat named Louie, and I love that cat so much. Every time I walk by, I look in the window to see if the cat is there, and if it's there, I drop everything and I go pet Louie. And I have a nice little break in my day, and then I continue walking.
You have
But yeah,
to.
in terms of, it's like mandatory if you see him,
Yeah.
basically.
No, yeah,
In terms of like,
yeah.
in terms of grocery stores, um, I'm sure MICA advertises the Save a Lot that's near Founders Green a lot. There's also the Target shuttle that we do. It also goes to a shopping center. It's not just Target. So it has like Ulta and Food Lion and like some restaurants. You can get groceries there. There's a Safeway not too far from campus. You can take the light rail to there. So it's not too bad. But otherwise, I think most students end up getting their groceries on like the H Mart and Target shuttles. I know my roommates do. But yeah, do you guys have any other?
Yeah, that's definitely where I like get a lot of groceries on the Target and H Mart shuttle. I think one thing about Save a Lot, which is really nice, is it's literally like 2 or 3 blocks from the freshman dorms, and it's a lot kind of like cheaper for like buying like basic items. So I feel like that's really good for like kind of like freezer food, kind of everything, honestly. But I feel like for me, it's always like if I have a grocery list, I always go to Save a Lot first and like get everything I can that's on that list at Save a Lot, and then I'll maybe go to Target, or H Mart or somewhere, where they have more kind of like specific items, but they also kind of tend to be more expensive. So
The
yeah, and
shuttle
then
will go to
There's
Save a Lot as well, which
yeah.
I've used like at like way later than, I had to bake a cake really last minute and was able to go to Save a Lot because of the shuttle freshman year.
There's also, in terms of like Asian food, obviously you have H Mart, but if there's something that's like dire and you can't wait for the H Mart shuttle, there is a nice little Asian market, and it's a bit of a walk, but there's like smaller, like hole in the wall Asian like grocers that are like you can get your typical like more ethnic foods from there. I'm gonna look up the name of this place real quick because I completely forget it, but I'll put it in the chat for everyone. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it now.
yeah, and I think we have some questions about kind of I think one I can answer or start to answer is like how much takeout do we get versus like eating on campus? For me personally, I'll almost always get lunch on campus, and then like for breakfast, I'll have like I make like an Eggo every morning. I'd like get them in these huge boxes, and like I'll have that, and then dinner. I don't know. I kind of usually like make like dinner like pasta or again like freezer food. I feel like it depends on the person, and so you have like different options for meal plans, based on kind of what you're looking for and how often you want to be eating, um in versus out. I think one other thing that's really important to add that I think somewhat makes Micah unique is like with dorms, like freshman dorms, you have like a full size fridge, you have like an oven, you have a stove, you have like a sink, you have, if you want to be cooking every meal and kind of have the means to figure that out, that's something you want to do. That is something that you can do. I think, is it somewhat required to have a somewhat of a meal plan freshman year?
Yeah, it is required freshman year. Also, sophomore year, it's like recommended, especially if you live on campus. But I think you can always get that waived if you show that you need to get it waived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, just you
Yeah.
have the amenities, I guess, to make food if you want to be making food.
Like I'm a junior and I'm off campus. I'm in an apartment and I still have a meal plan just because sometimes it's just the easiest thing to do. It's like going between studios, like it's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just like an add-on, if you do decide to become like a RA, if you apply for that, you get free meal swipes. So if that helps.
I think our other question was about like OK Naturals and like Soups On. I don't really go to either of those places that much. Do you guys have more to add? Um,
It's awesome.
I love soups on.
I love soup.
Yeah. soup store
Yeah,
on
soup.
top, organic store on the bottom. It's like a mullet. It's awesome.
Yeah.
The
So
Susan has like a soup and bread combo for $6, which is like a really good way to get lunch if you don't want microfood and you don't want to pack.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I messed that one up because I think the only time I went was like when it was starting to get warm again and it was like hot outside and it was like all they had is obviously like hot soup. Um, so I think I need to try going maybe now when it's cold. Um, all right. Um, do we have more questions we should answer? I guess it's 7:20. Um,
I like blanked out. Did we ever answer the question of what types of artists play at the Auto Bar?
oh no, I didn't see that.
It's in the Q&A. Someone asked just what kind of artists play at the Auto Bar. I've actually never been
I
to
can
Auto Bar, but I know it's
I
great.
can touch on that
Yeah.
in my thing. I love the Auto Bar. The Auto Bar is a big institution for like indie rock as well as like a big hub for like local punk rock and you know, DIY stuff. Anyone can book there, big or small. It's an institution. It's been open for I think 26 years. And they have every genre you can imagine. Not just the dance nights. I've been to metal shows, I've been to rap shows, jazz. Like they'll have a jazz set, a metal set, and a pop set the same night, you know? It's all over the place. It's amazing music. Uh, there's something for everyone.
Yeah, I feel like also now would be a good time to really, I feel like, properly like introduce you as like our guest and kind of like
Oh yeah.
what it is that you do. I feel like
Yeah,
it's
here can I share my screen?
you should be
Cool.
able to.
I haven't used Zoom in so long. Okay, awesome. Ignore my desktop. It's like very messy. This is the life of a person who doesn't use his computer enough. And then I hit present.
Yeah, like the slideshow button.
Oh, slideshow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Hi everyone. My name is Jay Howley. Up front, you guys can find all my art and stuff on Instagram at the Howley. I go by he, him, his pronouns. I'm a junior printmaking major. Uh, and I am doing the extra year to get my Master's of Art education. Master's of Art teaching, sorry. Uh, as well as my bachelor's in printmaking. I already said I'm a junior. I'm from South Central Pennsylvania. I came into MICA as a graphic designer, oh no, as a painter and then a graphic designer and then as an illustrator. Now I'm a printmaker. It's okay to not know what you're gonna do coming in. Yeah, so this is a blurry picture of a set at the auto bar my friend went to. He didn't tell me who the band was, which is like funny. So uh when I came from a very rural, small rural town, and coming here, the MICA bubble was like something I definitely was like stuck in because I came from a town of 2,000 people, and when I came to Baltimore, it was really overwhelming. Um, and I really didn't know how to get out and like do stuff. And so I started thinking of things that I had never done and wanted to do, and I had never seen live music, despite being like a big music fan. Like I love shows. I love shows. But I was obsessive about music. I would like uh, you know, listen to stuff obsessively over the pandemic. And the like some of the only things I knew coming into Baltimore was you know, like Snail Mail Beach House, you know, JPEG Mafia, all of these like artists coming out. Who else? Combat. You know, I just knew the artists coming out of here. And so that was like one of the main things I was excited for. So I dragged my roommate to a Black MIDI concert at the auto bar, and he didn't know who they were, and it was the best time ever. So, flash forward to this past summer. I've been going to the auto bar ever since. It's an amazing venue. My friend sent me a MICA network opportunity, which do they know what MICA network is?
No, probably. Considering the fact that I don't know what MICA network is, I'd say probably not.
MICA network is awesome. So as soon as you're in MICA, you can get into this thing called the MICA network, which is like calling it Craigslist is like doesn't really do its justice, but it's kind of like Craigslist, but for internships. So my friend sent me an internship that was like, hey, we're the auto bar. We want to have an artist that's doing some social media stuff for us and really helping us with posters, and we'll give you some internship credits, free shows, small stipend. Great. And so I was like, okay, sent off my application. I had never done a poster for anything ever prior. I do comics and I paint and I make prints in my current practice. And I draw. I'm always drawing. And so I thought it was spam when I got an email back from them saying like, hey, like, what's your email, like information, yada, yada, yada. And they gave me my first show, which is this Twain show that they booked, but it was at Metro Gallery, which I think you guys mentioned earlier, is also another great venue. I've done other shows for them since, posters. And that sort of started it. And actually, I think right behind me up there, if you can see that, that's the original drawing for that poster. That's on my wall. It's really cool. And so they liked it and they were like, okay, we're not going to fire you after the first poster. It's like, this is amazing. Thank you, MICA Network. Thank you, MICA. I love MICA. And then so they're like, okay, pick your posters. So I'm a print major. And so this was really an opportunity for me to like play. I wanted every poster I made to be able to be printed by myself, and sold physically should the bands want it. And then also use traditional printmaking materials to construct these. So with, can you guys see my cursor?
Yes.
Ooh, cool. So this one for Yard Act, if there are any Yard Act fans, they're awesome. This one was hand carved into linoleum. I've actually got like a block on my desk because yeah, it's everywhere. So this was hand carved, 2 blocks, and then the text was all digital. And this was through UNN booking, but we can get back to them. And then this other one, Strawberry Girls, was a mix of like, I don't think I have it on me, but there's this awesome text that they don't make anymore that's like on a plastic sheet that you can like rub off. It's called Letraset. You can rub it onto like paper. And so I was like scanning things, cutting things up, trying to make these. These were screen prints, the Strawberry Girls, and I was able to actually sell those at a show, which was really, really cool. And then moving on, more posters, screen printed. This at this point I was still moving forward. And this has been like a really great thing. Like I've been able to just like suss out ideas for this, that like if I want to try something different, but I don't feel like it'll fit my portfolio, I can do it and then just write it off as like, oh, this is a poster, you know? So I was doing a lot of like x-rays and brains, but also like flowers and bugs. And, you know, those things I wouldn't have put them together, but because of this, I was really able to play. That's for Ron Gallo and Dusk. Beach Fossils reached out. That was a really cool gig. And then this is again through UNN. I call them UNN. It's unregistered nurse booking. That's through Dana Murphy. She's amazing. She books shows for Songbird, Autobar, a bunch of other places. And I've really been able to work with her as well moving forward. So I've gotten a lot of great connections through the Autobar, as well as just being able to see amazing shows and see my posters put up around Baltimore. This is for Mary Lattimore. This was at Current Space, which is like a really cool gallery if you ever get around to visiting it. It's a gallery performance space. If there are any like metal fans, there's an ambient metal band, like it's metal to sleep to kind of, called Earth, and they're performing in May. I'm so excited. I think there's going to be like a whole performance aspect. It's going to be really, really something. These were for Body of Light. So this is like moving forward. This is like outside the auto bar. This is at Quarry House Tavern in DC. But this was through Unregistered Nurse, and they said, "Hey, we have a show for you. Can you do this?" I said, "Sure." And these I was able to screen print. Man, these are actually the color variations, but it's 18 by 24. So like, it's like, it's big.
You still have
Really
prints of this
fun.
one you can sell? Because I kind of want one.
Yeah, I am hoping to reprint them. Yeah, absolutely. Message me, and
For like fish.
I always have prints for sale. I always have books. You know, it's good. The prints help with the groceries. These are more Mom Rock was a really fun one. This one I was able to like combine my love of comics and sequentials with like this whole poster thing. Hoping to screen print these as well. I'm hoping to screen print all of them. And swirlies, if anyone's a fan of swirlies, I was like starstruck. Again, my boss at my work said like one of my coworkers was like, "I don't know swirlies, am I out of touch?" And he's like, "No, he's like out of touch with his own generation." Swirlies is up there. That was risograph printed, super cool, soy-based ink. Yeah. And Mom Rock, I'm actually working on another thing for them right now. It's right here on the desk. It's like a piano crashed into a car sort of thing. I'm not supposed to share that yet, I don't think. Is that, oh yeah, and then yeah, just more. It's just fun, you know. Like these pieces wouldn't necessarily all be in the same portfolio. Like I've had people be like think that I'm like three different people because of the different styles of these. But it's been really cool to just play and be able to go to see these bands and connect with folks. And these are some of the most recent ones. This Melt Banana one is one of my favorites. That was for Metro, which is an amazing venue. And Deeper and Stuck. If you see this little hat on any of that, that's from Dana over at Unregistered. They're amazing. They, you know, reach out and they say, "Hey, we have a poster." It's awesome. And that's pretty much it. It's been really cool to like get familiarized with the Baltimore like music scene. I've been able to meet a lot of really cool people and been given a lot of really cool chances, you know, and people seem to really like the art, and like that's the most validating thing of all, you know. Like Baltimore's got a lot of folks who are really into what you do, you know, and it's not really hard to get your work out there and seen in the larger community. Up here is my Instagram, and like all my links are on my Instagram, and that's not just posters, that's like drawings, that's you know, like announcements on like little things I make, you know, yada yada, fine art, fine art, and everything else. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions moving forward. Let me find a pretty slide to like land on. That's a
We
good
do
one.
have one question real quick that's just related to what we've been talking about. Sorry to our anonymous transfer student. But someone asked if it's expensive to get into Autobar and if it's the only music venue around campus, if you want to have some input on that.
It is not the only music venue. So there's Autobar, Metro Gallery is amazing because Metro is also really cheap. Metro is closer. You can walk to Metro. You can also walk to Autobar. And then I think a little further out is a sober venue called the Undercroft that's always $10, and it's in the basement of a church. So this church clears out their basement for the night, and you can see some cool local bands, like really young up and comers. I just saw a band called Attack Dog from Philly play recently. That was really awesome. And then there's other venues. I know the Compound is really great. People love the Compound. That's like an artist space collective, which is really cool. There are people like fabricating things and practicing music. I think in the Yard Act, yeah, it says Ed Schrader's Music Beat. They're based out of the Compound, so they practice and rehearse in there and engineer all their stuff. Really cool folks. Amazing stuff happening at the Compound. And the Crown. The Crown is also a place where you can sort of see some cool offbeat bands play. Yeah. Oh, and Autobar depends on the show. It's some shows are like at a base like 10, 15. But if you're going to see, I remember I went to see Beach Fossils and it was almost sold out because they're beach fossils, and it was around 30, 40. So it's really a case by case.
Yeah, I think also another thing's important to touch on is like too like being here and being under 21 because it really does limit the places you're allowed to go by like a long shot. So one
Yeah,
other place that's good to go under 21 is it's super easy to take like the MARC train to DC, and there are a lot of shows out there as well. Just as,
absolutely.
yeah, I think another thing too. But I
Oh
don't know, I'm
yeah.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah, and
There's
all of these
also the
venues you can get into under 21. You just got to get your hands marked with the X.
Yeah.
there's also the for non like I don't know, right, there's like the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra that plays pretty close to campus. It's like sorry, my voice. It's like right next to the station building. And it's not just like, normal like orchestra and symphony music. They like it's like they're putting on like theatrical shows kind of with their music. And it's really cool. Um, but yeah, did you guys have anything else to say on that topic of like other venues that aren't just Audubon?
Yeah,
Because we do have some more questions for Jay.
I forgot about the Baltimore Theater Project and
Oh
all
yeah.
and that and yeah, yeah, Theater Project is cool.
Baltimore Soundstage is also good. I've seen a couple good shows like stand up there too. I've been able to see a couple stand up shows, which is like another thing I never was able to do. I saw a Japanese breakfast there. I cried. It's awesome. Uh, it's close to the harbor too, which is fun. That's sort of close to Ram's Head as well. Yeah, there's so much happening in Baltimore.
I think one of my favorite parts about Auto Bar versus other venues, like Soundstage in particular, like I feel like Soundstage is very kind of like square. I feel like Auto Bar, I love that it has all like the different like layer. You can like walk up and like
Yeah.
on this balcony and look down. There's kind of like all these different kind of nooks and crannies to go, which I really like about it.
Yeah, Auto Bar is very intimate. It's a very intimate venue, which is awesome. Like you will at some point in the show end up face to face with like the bassist or something, You'll you'll get in there. And it's awesome. Everyone there is super nice and it's a uh great safe space. Um it's a fantastic venue. Same with Metro. Metro is also a gallery operating. They have gallery shows as well. Um and they're a big hub for DIY and like experimental noise and harder like metal and grindcore and if you're into that sort of subcultural stuff.
Yeah, I feel like keeping up with like Bolt Showplace, they have an Instagram. They have like weekly listings for all the shows. Like there's an upcoming band called like literally and
When is that?
they
They're coming?
performed they performed at the compound and they were like this close. There were only 20 people there, which
Oh,
was
did I miss it?
yeah.
Killing
was
me.
crazy. It's
I
really
want to
cool.
see that. They're
Yeah, I
so
think
good.
the Balt show place too is cool because like just the absolute range that you'll get and kind of like places they'll promote like everything from like bingo nights to like shows and also like random like children I've seen children's shows kind of be like put on there. You kind of get a really large
Yeah.
range.
To
Um
the Shrek rave.
the Shrek rave, yeah, there's a SpongeBob rave too, I think at some point at Soundstage. Um but I think another thing too, like about auto bars, there's a lot of kind of nights that like and for some people this is really nice, for some people this is not as nice, but like there'll be a lot of MICA people at the auto bar. So for like Y2K night or like indie sleeves, there's like a Tumblr core party. Like those, you're gonna have um a lot of MICA people there, which like I said, can either be really nice and like kind of being comfortable or maybe you're wanting to really get out of the bubble. Which place maybe go to DC.
Yeah.
Or some other venues.
There's so many great venues in DC. There's 930, there's DC 9, there's Black Cat, like the nice thing about DC is like everyone passes through DC on like any tour. So like you can catch someone. I couldn't tell you the last DC show I went to. That was like probably Brico or Big Thief, but like yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, they have good. Yeah, I've been to a couple like cool shows at 9:30 that have. I'm going, I think, on Saturday to a 9:30 show.
Who you
Shout out to-
seeing?
I think it's like a 90s themed dance party. But it's not live, I don't think. Because the last time we went to try and go like a kind of like a night that had a theme, and then there was a live band, which we weren't expecting, but it was actually really good. So,
Right
um,
on.
yeah. Um, so do we have, I know you can't be here for super long.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have a couple of questions that were specifically for Jay. So Jay, what other general hobbies do you have other than like art and music and the stuff you're doing now?
It's kind of uh tough because like I'll be like tired coming back from the studio like making art and I'll be like, oh my God, like I just need to like sit down and like draw. So I'm always drawing, read a lot. Jeez. I should probably like find a hobby. Um I don't know. I'm really into movies. I'm like kind of meticulous about like documenting like the media I consume, like letterbox and stuff. I read a lot. Jeez, what do? I cook, you know, hang out.
Have you
Uh hoping
found
to get a bike in Baltimore soon. I've been meaning to do that. I bike a lot at home, and now that I have like a longer term place, I'm hoping to get back into that.
Great.
do you have a
That's
Goodreads account?
What's that?
Do you have a Goodreads account since you're into like documenting?
No. I don't like their web. I don't like how they're like you turn on the app and it's like a paper texture and it like makes my skin crawl. Um, I don't like it. But maybe I should. I read comics mostly. I have like a real book that's like staring at me from across the room and I don't know. It's gonna be a while. Yeah. I don't know. I just draw, but that's it.
typical art kid. No,
Yeah.
it's like I think most of us end up doing a lot of our own craft with just like for ourselves as a
Yeah.
hobby.
A lot of it's personal,
Yeah.
just like bringing joy. Like yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I do a lot of these. They sort of like fold into my practice, but they're never for a class. I write comics. So I've got like these books that I sell at markets. I guess this is just more drawing, but like I'll just like sit down and do a page if I'm bored. Um, or looking for an escape from like thinking too hard about any specific project. Uh, giving myself to be silly and let loose with the practice. Yeah.
Do you have any like favorite off-campus spots for just various different things other than, of course, Audubon?
Yes. Atomic Books in Hamden is my favorite bookstore of all time. Ben, who works there, is like one of the greatest people to walk this earth. He's like one of the first people to like I like walked in, they can sign books. So if you make comics, you can like bring in your book. And like freshman year, I walked in, I was like, hi, I have this like 16-page zine. And he was like, we want it, like send us your stuff. And yeah, and now like these are like available in their store. And so it's really cool to see like go in there and see my work there. But also just like I'm very into like indie comics and like that whole scene. There's some really exciting stuff happening there. And that's sort of the hub for that. I love Hamden. I'll just like do Hamden in a day. It's excellent. I do like Roland a lot as well. Um, Off campus, man, I love the studio. I'm in the studio too much. Yeah, I'll go out for food. And oh, the Charles. I love the Charles. That is my favorite movie theater. They show everything. It's awesome.
Lovely. Yeah, I also love comic books. My friend had a really heavy comic book phase last year, and she was able to literally like order specific covers of like certain volumes of comics from there, and they would like arrive, and she'd take my car and go drive to Hamden and pick them up. And yeah, comic books is really great. I get some manga from there. Another question for you there is, what other like on and off campus activities are you involved in other than just like your art practices, if any?
Me? Um I think my experience with off-campus activities is just a lot of art-centric stuff. But like I'll go out with friends, like MICA friends, when we need a break from like a long stretch in the studio. And we'll just like go to Autobar or Undercroft or the Crown. Or even like there's a lot of great restaurants. I remember I used to frequent Joe Squared quite a bit before they closed. But I also go to Pillion quite a bit. Um, I think yeah, I think they're still open. Um, yeah, I go
Joe
to Pillion.
Squared closing down breaks my heart, but yeah, Pilion is good.
Yeah, Joe Squared had risotto that was like they had a shrimp risotto that was like life affirming. It was so good. Yeah, it's very sad. But there's so many good spots. Oh my God, Kong Poka is like a Korean place.
Kongpocha is really good.
Pocha? Okay,
I
yeah.
love
So good.
Kongpocha. Yeah.
Excellent.
As a
Yeah.
Korean person, I can confirm their food slaps.
Okay, good. Okay,
It's good. It's good.
I was like, I hope I'm recommending like a good place. Um, yeah, those are great places. And also Fells Point, I like to walk around there quite a bit. And sometimes I go to Hopkins just because they have good food. Like they just have a big strip of like just restaurants. And like as a gluten-free, one of my classmates called me a gluten-free warrior, which is funny. As a gluten-free warrior, it's good to be able to eat stuff in that area, There's always an option. Uh yeah, that's about it for me. I don't do a lot.
Yeah, one
And
more
we have,
place
yeah,
to go out to eat is Never on Sundays. And they have really good Greek food, but now they're also open on Sundays, which I feel like
Why are
defeats.
they open on Sundays? Like
I'm
that's
not,
it's
I'm
in
so
never.
their name.
no, it's really upsetting. Actually. I think they should just stick to not being open on Sundays. But I don't know, good food. I guess I feel like it's a fun like late night place to go. Like with friends. I think they're open like decently late. Um, Love Never on Sundays.
I think you guys touched on Doobies, but I really want to like hammer home Doobies. Doobies is crazy. Like they're a cafe, but like also the food is nuts. Like you can get like this big bowl of ramen there or like a breakfast platter like at the same time. And those are like two of my favorite things. It's awesome. They like wings, like they'll do it. They do it all. It's amazing.
Do you have any more questions? Because I feel like I
We
can't see
do
any questions.
we do have questions in like the Q&A chat. There's one from forever ago. I'm so sorry that we uh graciously skipped over to make sure we can get all of Jay's answers in before he goes. But the question reads, uh, as someone who's usually anxious, I would want to make sure how safe an area is. So do we feel safe being on campus, and how about outside of campus?
Um, I think I can definitely answer like on campus. I mean, I think there's like multiple kind of ways that that can be interpreted. I know for me, as like a queer and like a trans person, one of the ways I've always kind of felt safe on campus is like bathrooms. Like no one cares at MICA, and like the best way possible, no one cares. And that's kind of been, I think, a very unique thing to MICA, and just that it's such a kind of like generally queer community. That in that aspect, I think I've always felt um safe on campus. I don't know if you guys have different things you would feel safe about, but that's been big.
Yeah, real quick. Oh, he can say real quick, let's say thank you and goodbye to Jay, and then he dipped.
I did not
But
see I did not see that in the chat. That's my bad.
um no, that's totally fine. He said it and then like immediately left. We had no time to breathe. It's fine. But yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jay Spirit, for joining us. Um,
Gluten-free warrior.
gluten-free warrior for real. In my experience so far, I definitely think on campus, you have very, very, very little to worry about in terms of anything like being attacked, harassed. I don't think I've ever had a moment where like feared for my own safety on campus. But I do live off campus and I have to take a nice little like 10 to 15-minute walk back home every day and frequently at night. What I do is I like to carry a little pepper spray on me constantly. And things like the MICA shuttle definitely help out just because, even if you are going into what might be considered like, Baltimore gets this kind of reputation for being like a sketchy city. I think like every city in America has a similar reputation. It's just like you have to know how to navigate yourself around it. You can always find like this is an extreme example, of course, but like crime information is pretty publicly available. You can see that. Like if you just want to look it up. But in general, and this sounds like maybe this sounds too optimistic, but I think it rings true in my experience, at least in general. You are safe at like anywhere in Baltimore as long as you're not like actively I don't, I don't know a good way to word it.
Yeah.
Like yeah, just like be aware of your surroundings and you should be like completely okay. MICA campus safety. We talked about this a little last week, and I don't know who was here and who wasn't. But MICA campus safety, they're really like there for you. They got your backs. They took Leo to the ER in like a private like ambulance ride in their cars. So yeah. Do you guys have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I think it also though, like I think it does make sense too to validate fear as well coming to Baltimore. Like there is
Definitely,
some stuff
it's
that is
definitely makes sense to
yeah.
be
Like,
fearful. I hope it didn't come off as like, oh, don't be
no.
scared. But yeah, okay,
I
cool.
think it's just um I don't know, it's not like an unwarranted fear. Again, it's just kind of like, and again, it's like a lot of places, um, being aware of your surroundings, kind of like I'll have all my friends' locations, we'll always kind of be checking in like, oh, did you get home safe and that kind of deal. Um, but also I think too, like for being on Micah campus, like in this neighborhood, like Bolton Hill is where Micah is based, and that is like a very nice neighborhood. And like it has like crime like all neighborhoods, but I think it's kind of like um I don't know how much you can go into it with like 6 minutes left and talk about Baltimore and like the different parts of Baltimore, but it's a pretty like I don't know. Bolton Hill is a very nice part of it, I think, is the tip of the iceberg there. So, yeah, and then I think too, like, I think it's important to talk about, oh, do we go to 8:30? We have so much more time. Still, I don't know if I want to dip into that one. But what was I talking about? Oh, the shuttles. The shuttles are super nice too for getting around at night if you don't want to be walking between buildings.
Yeah, also honestly, in my experience, because I walk like through a sketchy little alleyway every day to get home, it's like it only looks this sounds really like copium, but it only looks really bad. Nothing bad ever really happens back there. It's just like, it's still a safe area that I live in, even if it's like off campus. It's like, you know what I mean. It's like you'll be okay. It's you may get like weird vibes at times, but ultimately your safety comes first and it will still be maintained. Like I've been okay most of the time. My three roommates, who all, of course, live in the same apartment that I do, were all okay. So things have worked out so far.
Dhanviee, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like it's just how in every city you have to be aware of your surroundings, don't like put in your headphones at like really high volume just when you're walking, be aware. And that's really it. Campus security is really nice with like if you were to contact them, if you're like in the area, like for say bun shop and you're coming back and you don't feel safe, you can always give them a call. And even when you're in a building, you can give them a call. And the security at all the buildings at the desk, at the front desks is super nice and are always available to help you. So on campus, I've never felt unsafe. And even off campus, it's never been like obviously you get scared if you're like walking around and stuff, but really just being careful and knowing your resources, like knowing where like the bus is and stuff like that just helps.
Yeah. Do we have more questions? I see a question about public city bikes. Yes, the question specifically is there any sort of public city bike thing in Baltimore, or do you have your own? Um, I think some people have their own bikes. I know people have their own bikes, and there are also public bikes. Unless
There's like the electric scooter system thing. We have a couple of those around where I don't know how much you guys know about it. I don't know too much, but it's like you get an app and it's like, oh, there's a scooter near you, and then you go rent the scooter for however long you need to get around, and then you just leave the scooter once you're done with it. And then these people go around in giant pickup trucks at night and they pick up the scooters and they go charge them for money. So that's how they always have battery magically. But yeah, we have stuff like that around. I don't think there's a similar system for bikes, but the scooters are sufficient. So
Yeah, I've seen some bikes too around, which but yeah, I think people do prefer to get their own bikes because it does get like a little pricey
does
with
gas too.
yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, that's it. That's why.
Yeah, I think I remember I took an electric bike one time from like the local bouldering gym at Hamden back to campus, and like it adds up fast. So if you're really commuting on a bike, I would recommend getting a bike. I think you'd save a lot of money. Or the light rail or like public transport. But everything once in a while it's fun. Um, and then another question is, how did you first start discovering places in Baltimore? Was it from recommendation or just exploring? Do you guys have an answer for that?
Yeah, I can answer that. So I always like I'm looking out for concerts. So I'm always on my live events section of Spotify, like looking for next events. So I got to know about like Baltimore Soundstage and Metro Baltimore from there. Like I would see like all of my favorite artists who were performing there. So that's how I started going to these places. And then I started keeping up with them individually, especially like Ball Showplace. That's a really cool Instagram account. They have weekly listings. So there's like every day there's something happening. You can be like, oh, I have some time today. I did not know that I would have time. You can literally look up the Instagram and there's something going on. So it was definitely stemmed from my personal interest, but then you can start keeping up with the specific places that you like. Um, and yeah, they have like all kinds of events. Like if you keep up with the Auto Bar, not only do they have live events, but they will have dance parties. And same with like Creative Alliance, they have shows, but they also have artist talks, which is really cool. So you can have like independent artists come in and have conversations. So that's how I started discovering places.
Then do you have an answer for this question?
Indeed, I do. I mostly, like freshman year specifically, went off of just recommendations during orientation. They have a day where they like take you on a walking tour throughout the closer parts of Baltimore City to campus, and they like show you where things actually are. So that helped a good bit. And then once I got to sophomore year and I like lived off campus more in the city, just like by existing around these different places, I was able to discover things like Doda's Cafe that I live next to, Aloha Bar that I live next to. And like it's definitely a mix overall, but there's a lot of really good like ways to find recommendations and also through your friends, because today I learned about some really cool places around Baltimore that I would have probably never found out about if not for like hearing you guys talk about them. So yeah. What do you have, Leo?
Yeah. I think when I came to MICA, I was coming from a boarding school in like the middle of the woods where there was like nothing. And like you could go to the weekend sometimes on this bus and there were like 3 stores. Like it was, so I got to Baltimore and I was like, I'm ready to go. I want to go out. I want to dance. I want to do all these things. And so I very much was like researching super hard when I first came here. I think one of the things that if you are Googling and kind of trying to look up stuff, you'll kind of get hit with is that a lot of the clubs that were kind of more notorious for being able to go in like 18 plus and like under 21 got shut down because of COVID. And stuff is kind of coming back up. But I think, yeah, there's like the kind of typical places, word of mouth. And there's an app, I think it's called like RA Guide, not to like, I think in that if you want kind of more local kind of underground EDM shows, there's stuff like that and word of mouth kind of stuff to find out about those. And those are really fun if you are interested in that kind of thing. But yeah, I think honestly, Balt Showplace is like they just have everything you could possibly be interested in. That's kind of how I've found places.
I will say for one thing is to try not to get too, I know kind of the whole point of today's meeting is to like show you guys places to go in Baltimore, but try not to get too caught up in like, oh, this place sounds cool. I want to visit this, and this. Because like even though 4 years sounds like a long time, and it definitely is once you're in your 6 hour classes, but you might not find a lot of time to like visit all these things. So I, I think the point of what I'm trying to say is to not stress out too much. University of Delaware is a big party school, and I live right next to it. So in high school, don't tell my parents. I went to a good amount of frat parties, and I like was out all the time. And so I expected the same of myself once I got to college. And then I realized that's kind of a lot of effort to like leave my house. So I would like to find things that are closer. So I think overall, it's good to experiment and try out a bunch of different things, but don't feel like a lot of pressure to like go out every moment of spare time you have. And vice versa, don't feel like you're missing out on life because you're not, or actually, does that make sense? Would that be the vice versa?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
good.
just you know what I'm saying? Like don't feel like you're missing out on life by like not going to these like cool, fun parties that you like think would be worth your time.
I'll also say, I think another really important note, just for like kind of going out in general, I find that these things are usually kind of what you make it. If you go in kind of with a bad attitude, and you're like, this is going to be lame, usually it's lame. I think for me, my favorite part about going out isn't really honestly any of the shows, unless it's like a specific band that like I'm obsessed with or whatever. Like I saw Gorillaz in Merriweather, and that was like the best concert of my entire life. But kind of for the more like theme nights, it's the kind of like getting together of like friends, and like you're all getting ready together, and you're swapping clothes, you're all putting on makeup, and there's like music, and like it's that for me is kind of one of the biggest ways that I've found community. And I think even like freshman year, that was a really big way of kind of like, you kind of you figure things out. You're like, this is a person I do want to go out with. This is a person I do not like want to go out dancing with. And so it actually was a really good way of kind of finding friends and people who maybe I didn't want to be as close to freshman year. So I think that's another important aspect of it as well. Unless you guys have anything else to add, to this kind of conversation. The next question is, do you guys have anything similar to Jay? Do you have experience doing local commission / artwork? Okay.
Do you
No,
guys have any experience doing commission work at all? Because my practice for pretty much my whole life is more like I don't do commissions pretty much in my line of work. Do you guys have any experience with that in general?
Yeah, me neither. I just paint what I like to paint. I just draw what I like to draw.
I'm in a similar, I'm in a
That's so
similar,
real.
um, maybe we should talk about, yeah, like maybe our major. I don't think we even actually introduced ourselves all properly. So
We're
maybe we can like introduce
pretty off.
ourselves, name, pronoun, major, what kind of work we make. Might be good.
That would be a good idea.
A little late into it.
Sorry, guys.
But better late than never.
Yeah.
Um, I can start. I'm Leo. I use he, him pronouns. I am a sophomore painting major with a photo minor. Um, I feel like I like long walks on the beach. Like, I don't know. Like, what else is there to say? I make work. I like making large scale, really colorful portraits, and kind of weird surrealist stuff. And for photo, I'm obsessed with like film and black and white film, in the process of developing that. If you want to follow me, I'm Leo Cohen Art. Leo Cohen Art on Instagram. Yeah, that's my Instagram for our Instagram. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I can go next. My name is Dhanviee. I use she, they pronouns, and my work is all over the place. I paint, I draw, I make sculptures, and I also do sound stuff. So it's conceptual. That's like something you can say when you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, it's very conceptual actually. Um, you wouldn't know.
Highly concept based. You wouldn't understand.
No, but yeah, I will just tell you guys my art Instagram. It's one correspondence one. I can write it in the chat. Yeah, that's me.
Put mine in as well.
Why are you guys putting it into the chat? It is physically not letting me send it to anyone other than you guys.
I also don't see it.
Dhanviee holds all the power.
I guess you have to be the co-host. Send me your Instagrams. I'll put it in the chat.
All right, I'm gonna the host and
Thank
okay,
you,
wait.
MICA Undergraduate Admission. While you guys are doing that, I'll do my intro. My name is Sen. I use they, them pronouns. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, which is infamous for also not having much to do, other than visit the University of Delaware or Christiana Mall. I'm a sophomore game design major with an animation minor, but I'm mostly doing 3D animation to fulfill those requirements. I've done like digital work for close to a decade now. My portfolio and everything does not look like it right now just because it's so hard to make video game and 3D animation. But that's what we're here to learn. Um, but yeah, that's what I do.
Decade is a word.
Close to a decade, because when I got into middle school, that's when I first learned like Photoshop, Illustrator, like the Adobe suite. And to get my, okay, you know Arts Magnet high schools, right? I had an Arts Magnet middle school too, and it was like a little pretentious, so you had to like apply to get in. So imagine little, like literal 10-year-old me with a portfolio trying to apply to this middle school. That's what my life has been like. So, so yeah, close to a decade of doing like digital media work.
Yeah, I think we said, but we're
Yeah.
all sophomores, I think, right? Yes.
Yes. Yes, we
Yes.
are. Except Jay was a junior, but we are sophomores.
I think it justifies that we haven't done any commission work. Stay tuned for another year and we will have some commission work for you guys.
It's so true. This is so true. Um, yeah, for sure. I feel like I've done commission stuff, but it's kind of been like, I don't think I've ever, it's been like gifts and things like that never, I'm not like, can you pay me for like this kind of like commission? Like, can you paint this for me? I'll be like, it's a gift, whatever.
Yeah.
I also, this is so unrelated to really anything, and it's kind of a personal issue. I get so attached to my paintings. I've had people offer to buy some of my work before, and I've been like, actually, no, I want to keep this painting. There's only one of it. Like, there's only one. Like, I can't let go. Like, there's only, so I'm gonna have to confront that at some point in my life and be like, Leo, you need to actually, like, if you want to make a living, you need to start selling.
Gotta pay back these freaking student loans that we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Also,
parents,
real quick, to our
sorry.
participants, the floor is still open for questions. I don't know if it's because you think that we're not taking them or because you guys just don't have any, but reminder that it's open for anything. But yeah, sorry, Dhanviee, please continue.
No, I was gonna say something really stupid. I was just saying that my parents have bullied me into like making something for like so that they can hang at their at our house. And they're always like, oh, it's so sad that our daughter can paint, but we still don't have any works of hers. And they keep telling me that like every call, but I still haven't made it paint for them.
It's
So
really
it's
funny. I have the exact opposite issue for years and years for like birthdays and Mother's Day and Father's Day. I'd always give them art. And literally at one point, I think it was like early high school, my mom was like, I actually like please don't give me any more paintings. And when I was like, oh, okay. And then I kind of like learned and then I got better and I was making kind of like landscape, like nice to hang in your home type pieces. And she was like, why haven't I gotten one? I was like, well, I thought you didn't want them. I thought you were kind of sick of getting them. So now she'll beg. And I'd be like, so you want my art now? So now
Look
you
who's
want
on
it.
her knees
it's
now.
crazy how people switch up once you get
They
good.
switched up so fast, so fast. I was like, hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know it's definitely nice though. I feel like, being in like you're kind of required if you're taking kind of more fine art stuff, you're required to take traditional classes, and it's kind of nice to be able to you kind of learn how to do like, Dhanviee in this like figure drawing, life drawing class. It's very traditional, charcoal, whatever. But if I'm making like a gift for someone, like I'm making like a stupid card for my sister, whatever, I now have those skills to be able to use it. So I think it's fun sometimes to kind of like see it applied in just kind of um
Yeah.
random things.
Yeah, I also feel like it's okay if you don't like sell your work super soon, or even if you do something like illustration or something. I think it's okay to just like explore that unless you're like confident in starting to do that. And also it's so personal to make something and sell that. So I would say take your time with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of like student galleries too, which you can sign up for, and you can put prices. I think it depends. I think I had a friend who tried to put like her work as like I think like $2,000 or something that was clearly it was not a $2,000 piece, just kind of like for fun. I'm not sure if they put it up with the price.
Sorry, that's so funny.
It was live, so like yeah.
Makes sense.
You should put down the we should put down the recording to go somewhere. But
Let's just send it to Liv.
yeah. Uh but I know you can sell, I think try to sell pieces that way. But yeah, I'm looking forward to like I know some of the spaces we mentioned today when we were talking about kind of venues. I know I forget what it's called. I literally wait, I wrote it down today because my painting teacher was talking to me about it for applying to shows. Oh yeah, Current Space, I think. You can like apply for shows there and um I don't know. I need to get on that. I will be getting on that, but there are local places I think to have shows and to apply.
In terms of, there's I think I wanted to say this earlier, but I remember it now since we're talking about it. There's a University of Baltimore library that doesn't check for like student IDs, and it's a really nice building. It's so nice. Me and my roommates discovered this recently. You can just walk in there and you won't have Wi-Fi, but if you have like a hotspot or something, just connect to that. And it's a really nice, pretty, clean building to do your work in. And it's really close to MICA campus. It's basically on campus.
Wait, where is this?
It's the University of Baltimore library, like just one of their libraries. It's you know the Fitzgerald, you keep walking down that road to Penn Station, but it's like on your right
Is it the big
instead.
glass
Like
building?
the big glass one, yeah. You can just walk in there.
You walk in there?
You can just walk in there, man. And it's nice.
The more you
But
Also
yeah.
the
Do you
Peabody
guys-
Library.
The
That's
Peabody Library is gorgeous.
Peabody kids scare
They're
me
so
though.
cool. They do.
with their
Yeah.
big
We had
instruments
a
over their shoulders all the time. Like, who are you trying to
Trombones.
intimidate?
Yeah.
I feel like the way that we see Peabody kids is the way that other people see art kids with like our giant portfolio bags and like insane canvas sizes. Anyway,
True.
we had a question about art market, just like if we have any experience with art market. Do you guys have? I'm assuming it's selling because obviously I've dropped hundreds of dollars there, but
So yeah, I've been to
I
art
haven't sold that
market.
experience.
Loved art market. Was I selling anything? No. But I had a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff. So
I did something similar to Art Market. So in my first year, I did the first year fellows program, first year fellows in creative entrepreneurship. That was an intensive program, especially the first year at MICA. Like your first year, you come in and you do all these things, but it was intense, but it was worth it. By the end, like at the end, our final was like making products that we could sell. So I made like a 3D printed like 80s inspired architecture. Like I made like conversation pits and I made chairs. I think that was like the highlight of everything. Like I made other things, but yeah, that was really
I
fun
think
to do. And you can also apply for that.
this is a Dhanviee 3D printed chair for everyone to look at and admire. Say, wow, really cool
Glorious.
chair. And I
Mhm.
own it. So yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things. Like speaking of like work, like I have a friend and she literally like made this like gorgeous like pot and she just like gave it to me. And I just like have it. And I think that's something that's really cool. About my she's like, why do you want this? I was like, there's this one, and then I'm like standing up right now. There's also like this one. Like they're beautiful. Like they're so kind of like, you know what I mean? I feel like you buy these at like some really like fancy, like, you know, home goods store for like hundreds of dollars. But I
Yeah,
just
you
have to
could put like a flower or like a plant and
balance my 3D
They're
chair.
like they're really nice and pretty. But yeah, I think something really great about MICA is there's a lot of opportunity to like sell your work, whether that be, art market, which is just a big, I don't know if we like properly covered it. It's a big like opportunity for students and other people who sign up. It's just like a big convention, pretty like it's a big artist alley held in Brown Center. Um, and that happens in December. Like art market, we have you're able to sell products at the MICA store. Sometimes I don't know the logistics behind that. I think there's a class for it, and then you can like make products to sell at the MICA store. I have a friend who's like selling custom memo pads and stationery there. And like the FYF like market program, there's just so many like cool opportunities to get like hand-on business experience like that and like selling things. Like I was watching you guys in FYF make everything because Susie was my roommate and she did FYF. And I was like, man, I should have done FYF. Maybe I should have gone into fine arts and like production work. And then I took a fine arts class and I remembered why I picked my major. But yeah, it's to each their own. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for fine arts people. But yeah.
yeah.
Um, I think also we have around like 10 minutes left. If anyone who's still watching has questions about like specific majors and like what that looks like here and what those programs look like here, I feel like that's a good question that we can try and help answer. I know I was curious when I first came to MICA kind of what that would look like. So if you have questions around that, let us know. What else? Yeah, I
What
think
homework are you guys gonna do after this meeting ends?
Oh my God.
I am going to bed. I am going straight to bed.
Leo deserves to go to bed because Leo is on top of all of his work. Not me, though.
No, I'm gonna be up until like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. That makes me feel so much better about myself.
No, I'm asleep before 11 most nights. But I think that's why I do succeed, is because I sleep. Um,
I would
and
love to have the time in my day to get proper
yeah,
sleep. I do
also
it when I can, but
you have a crazy schedule. So oh, we have a question. A real question. Does anyone know anything about doing illustration at MICA? Do you guys have answers for our amazing question? Which sounds sarcastic. It's not sarcastic. It's a good question.
it is definitely a good question considering none of us are illustration majors. Zoe's an illustration major.
Yes, she is.
What does Zoe say about illustration?
So what Zoe says about illustration,
Zoe's a mutual friend we all have, by the
yes,
way. Yeah.
yes. Zoe's great. Maybe I can call her up in the next 9 minutes. She lives directly below me. Anyways,
Right now.
illustration. Yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of you take when you're definitely required to take like drawing classes, like Dhanviee and I are in one now. That's it's good. We get real models every single week, which is kind of an insane thing and is really cool. There's also like I've heard Zoe talk about like sequential art classes and kind of I don't know, I've definitely seen a lot of really
Yeah, I remember so we're talking about the narrative fiction writing class, and that kind of like helps her with the with the illustration major.
I yeah, it felt like a really cool class. And yeah, I've seen a lot of really cool stuff come out of the illustration department. It's a big department too. Got a lot of resources,
Yeah.
a lot of people doing
Illustrate
cool stuff.
a lot of illustration majors end up getting game design minors. I feel like I say this really frequently because a lot of my friends in game design have that set up for themselves because I don't know, I think they blend together really well. Illustration, for as like wide of a topic as it is, gets like when you're searching for jobs at least, it gets narrowed down pretty quickly as to what actual work you're doing. Of course, it's still illustration, but it's like the specific purpose it's for gets defined really quickly. So like my friends who have that illustration major game design minor combo, their theses are like they're making a small game with like really pretty art assets and like you're making a character's like walking animation. You're making their like if you're making like a dating sim, you're like making their little people that you talk to and date. You're like making all the backgrounds and everything. It's like it's a fun time from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think also another thing to mention too, I think it's interesting to see how like different majors will kind of cross over. Like I know one example is like the fiber students who are working on like the MME show right now. Um and sorry, and the photography department and like the studio lighting, those classes will merge. Or like I know Dhanviee, you probably know more about this, but I've heard like some illustration kids will do stuff for like sound art. And all of that. And so I think that's another cool aspect. I think it's also just I think no matter what school you go to, if you go to MICA or another school, I feel like you like the point of like I think one of the big points of being at art school kind of being in a community of like-minded people who are doing things like you are doing and kind of like working with them and collaborating. Because I think being in kind of college is somewhat of a unique kind of period of life where you're like kind of surrounded in this kind of environment. So
Yeah. What I can also add from like if you were at MICA and if you were to take a tour here, and if I were to be your tour guide and we're on the illustration floor, what I would like, I would show you the classes that we have and like our studios. So you would also get to see our illustration studios, which are also really cool. So once you're like a junior or a senior, you get your own studio space. And that's like a really nice desk, a lot of workspace. And we also have a lot of computer labs across the campus, which is like I'm I'm like 90% sure that your laptop will like stop working at your time like during college, and then you'll be like, "Oh, where do I go?" We have a lot of computer labs for that. So,
That's too real. My roommate's laptop blue screen last week, so
yeah.
prepare for that.
Yeah, I think one more thing I want to plug. Um, besides next week's episode, or in 2 weeks, our next episode, which is going to be great, is I want to talk about Quilt Club really quickly because I love Quilt Club. So yeah, I'm a painting major. I'm a photo minor. I have no business in the fiber department, but every week on Wednesday I go, and it's brilliant. I get to like make a little like funky square, and it just I don't have to think about it. I just get to make it, and then it kind of goes into like a bigger quilt that I don't really have to deal with. Someone else actually knows what they're doing, makes it into a quilt. But I think like stuff like that, like I love Quilt Club. It's just one of those things I don't have to think about it. It goes to a cool cause, it gets like raffled, it gets, money gets donated, all these things. But there's fun opportunities like that. And if you come to MICA, you should come to Quilt Club. Because Quilt Club is where it's at.
Yeah, if you
But
come to America, you should keep the clubs alive. Like we're handing down that to you if you were to
yeah.
come.
You're looking at the possible future leader, possibly of Quilt Club, if no one else steps up. Because
Not
again,
a
I,
fibers
I
major.
I actually don't know really what I'm doing, but I could, but I don't. So we'll see how that goes. Um, and then next week, and not next week, in 2 weeks, you should come back because we will be talking again and have a new special guest. And it will be really cool.
I believe we're gonna talk about like post-grad life, like kind of career building while I'm MICA, though I'm not 100% on that. I'm like 95% sure, but not 100.
Whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be great. So
It's gonna be a fun time once again.
you should come regardless. Oh, it's first
Yeah.
year experience. It is
We
the
lied.
experience. Um, and yeah, we talk, I think that's really relevant thing. And we kind of talk about, classes and kind of what that looks like at MICA. And so if you are admitted and you're curious about that, come back in 2 weeks to hear us talk some more about cool things. One of them being the FYE program. So cool. Um,
Yeah, I don't think we have much else to talk about. Thank you guys so much for coming. It's always such a fun time to host feeds and answer questions. I really enjoy this, like genuinely. So that I feel like that sounded sarcastic every time.
No,
But
no, it's
yeah,
great.
all
Wait, I
right.
feel like I have to ask. We went through this whole thing. We have 2 minutes left. What is a fish? Does a fish have a name? Does a fish have
Oh,
there's story there?
I completely forgot that this is my Zoom background, and I'm just rolling with it. This is a picture I found on my desktop. That is it. That is literally it. I think this is my itch.io profile picture as well.
was that like your favorite fish or like just like a random fish?
I think this is a random, like there's literally still a stock image watermark over it. This is a random Google Images fish. I have no idea what fish this is.
Nice
But
fish.
yeah,
Fish.
I'm a fish enjoyer. I just don't know which fish this is. But yeah. All right.
All right, should we hop off? I think it's time. I think I
The
gotta go
time
to
has
bed.
come.
It's my bedtime. So I'm gonna go sleep. But yeah, we will see you guys in 2 weeks. So goodbye.